Hello, hello. I'm trying to get everything all lined up, and that always seems to be a little bit of a feat. All right, let's get crafty. All right, let's make sure sound is off. I think we're good. All right, let me make a little extra light. All right, if you guys are stopping by to craft with me today, drop a quick comment just to say hello. And we are gonna get into some wintry Christmas card crafting. And oh my goodness, it feels like it's been a very long Saturday. And I'm sitting here and my crafting space is right next to our patio door. And I'm just looking outside and the grass just looks like it's gotta get mowed soon. And I'm just gonna be like, ugh, I don't wanna look at that. But that's okay. That is a-okay. Hello, Teresa, and hello, Christian. Hope you guys are having wonderful Saturdays. Thanks so much for stopping by today. And today we're going to do things a little out of order than I usually do for a normal live. Y'all know I usually jump into my coloring first, and then we get into like the backgrounds and all the elements and pulling everything together. And today we're going to do background first, just so I can give it a little bit of dry time. So I think that'll be a good start. But hello, hello. I hope you all are having an absolutely wonderful Saturday. Of course, it's Justin here from the creative team to create a fun Christmas in July winter card with you with the Snow Much Fun stamp set. So, hello, Gwen. Thanks for stopping by. I'm going to teach some good sky making sort of tips and tricks today. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a scene card. And honestly, this is going to be a very similar scene card to what you've seen with some of the projects that I just made for the July release. I used the Wizard Apprentice stamp set, and two of my cards had kind of wintry sort of scenes. Well, one had a wintry scene, one had a forest scene. I'm gonna kind of tie in with what I did and show you guys how I created it, but use a little bit more of a Christmas theme we'll go with. So let's do some background building. So I want to talk a little bit about sky making. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna start with a little bit of tumbled glass actually. So I always like to start with Bristol Smooth Blending cardstock and Distress Oxide inks. I think it's a very good way to start. These two are just like the perfect combination. So I'm gonna go in with some tumbled glass, and I'm going to add kind of a large layer. A lot of this is actually gonna get covered up, but I just wanna go really light. And then we're just gonna build darker colors on top of it. So this is tumbled glass. And next I'm gonna go in with some Salty Ocean. And I'm just gonna kind of go right next to that tumbled glass. And I'll use that tumbled glass foam blender just to help bring those two colors together. All right, just to help start getting those seamless blends. Next, let's go in with some prize ribbon, just a little bit of prize ribbon. Distress Oxide ink, I love this blue. Oh, Kristen, I'm so glad that you're excited. It's a good one. This is a good set, and before we know it, we're gonna have to really start working on our Christmas projects or winter holiday projects. Not trying to think too far ahead, but I know that it's on the horizon. So I've laid down my prize ribbon, and I'm going back in with my Salty Ocean. And I'm probably gonna have to blend it a little bit more. Sorry about the noise. Into my tumbled glass. Just kind of going back and forth with my foam blenders. And next, let's pull in some chipped, no, that's the wrong one. We're gonna pull in Chipped Sapphire Distress Oxide ink. And we'll do that on top. It's gonna really start getting dark. Because of course, it's always fun to make night skies. Those are the ones that I feel like can be super ombre-ish. ombre-ish. Is that a word? I don't know what. Oh, that's Salty Ocean. Wrong blending tool, but that's okay. All right, so I'm going in with my prize ribbon. All right. So see, we're already building up that background. And let's finish off with black soot. I have 2 black soot inks out, so bear with me. All right, we're gonna do this right along the top. All right, just like that. All right, and then we're gonna go in with the chip sapphire and kind of blend them together. All right, let's see, a little bit more in the corner. I think we're getting there. And I know there's a lot of white down there, but don't worry. We're going to get to it in a second. So I think all of my blenders can be put away. So let's go into, I'm going to grab, where is my spray bottle? Here it is. So I'm going to take my Distress sprayer. And hello, Shamia. Hope you're having a wonderful Saturday. And I'm just going to splatter. Now there's 2 reasons why I splatter. First is, I think it looks nice. That's the simple, basic one. But the second one is I think one of the greatest tips that you can do to build seamless backgrounds is to add what I call distractions on top of it. Things that are going to pull the eye away from any little imperfection. All right, let's clean this up. And we're gonna do a little bit more ink blending. So I told you all that I would do a little bit of demonstrating as to how I add detail onto my backgrounds with stencils. So even though if you want a scene card, if you're gonna be like true to the scene, you're probably not gonna add a lot of like stenciling into the sky, but sometimes it's really fun. So I want to take the Christmas sweater stencil. Let's see, we'll do it like that. And then I've got some mint tape, some big mint tape. This is 4-inch long mint tape. All right, like that. Tack that down. Tack that down. And then I am going to go back in and I am just going to start adding some Distress ink. Now I'm going to use Distress ink instead of Distress Oxide ink because it's a little darker and it can sit nicely on top. I just say use a different blending tool with it. So I'm just kind of going in, blending some black soot. And let's go into, do some chip sapphire next. Just kind of keep blending, kind of moving down so it coordinates the best I can with the color underneath. If it's not perfect, don't worry about it. And then let's do a little bit of prize ribbon. I'll clean off my brush a little bit. Some prize ribbon. Then we'll finish off with some Salty Ocean. All right. Just like that. Perfect. All right. So now you can see I've got this really fun Christmas sweater design on my background. And it's a little darker and it's just gonna pull in all of those colors. I love how this looks. I like how it sets on top of those splatters. I just think it's really pretty. Let's catch up on some comments. Hello, Patsy. And Teresa asks, are you using regular foam or dome foam? This is just the regular flat foam. It's the one when you buy the Ranger foam blending tools. It's the one that comes with them. I don't think they have ones that come with the domed pads, but if they do, I apologize. It's just the standard, let me grab one. Just the standard flat ones. And for some reason, I have like a pile of these and they've gotten a little discolored. So I've got to do a little diving in with that, but I will figure it out. All right, so let's go in. I'm gonna let this dry just a little bit because I can see that my ink may be a little smeary. And I just realized I grabbed the wrong green ink. So I'll be right back. Let's grab some pine needle. I should order some rustic wilderness. That should be the next one. Okay, so what I also want to do is I've got already some of the tree border die already die cut on a background, and I want to go ahead and use it. So I'm going to use some pine needle distress ink, and I'm just going to go from the bottom up on some green cardstock. I'm just gonna bring this color up. A lot of this is gonna be covered. I'm gonna make some snowy grass with y'all. All right, let's just keep going. Kind of going from the bottom edge towards me. And if you just keep adding colors, it's gonna layer and get darker. Hello, Jessica. Thanks for stopping by. Hope you're having a good Saturday. All right, so we're just gonna keep going. All right, perfect. That looks pretty good. I think that looks pretty decent. All right, so we've got our pine needles all blended. Let's do a little bit of cleaning and a quick water break, of course. All right, I'll set that off to the side. I want to see. I want to do a little bit of blue on the snow. I'm just kind of using what's left over from that salty ocean. Now these are some pieces that I pre-die cut with the grassy border die. Or grassy scene craft die, I think is the actual name. I'm just kind of layering this. All right. Just to give it a nice sort of icy, snowy feel. And then I'm gonna go ahead and also blend that on here. But I can make a little bit larger of strokes because I'm gonna layer and cover things up. Now I also, okay, so I like to talk about little things with my card making that I like to call like a finished edge, or like one of those like finishing items that does make a difference, like if you're looking to amp up your projects. And what I already did was I used the stitched rectangle from the Card Builder Basics die to help build die cut this. So even though it's got the edge that is grassy, you see on how I have on the bottom, I've got the stitching. So these are all going to lay up really nicely with each other and just give that finished edge to your project. See? So that's one thing I always like to recommend is if you're gonna do a stitched edge, do a stitched die cut first and then use your border dies on top of it. Of course, after, you can't do them together. You'll probably damage the dies in your machine, but you get what I mean. All right, let me grab, I'm gonna pull this back in And I'm gonna grab that stitched rectangle because this is, I think this is A2 size. I mean, this is a little bigger. The stitched rectangle in the Card Basics die, it's 4 inches by 5 1/4. And I just want to line this up like that. And then perfect. And then what I like to do is kind of fold this onto the back side like this. All right, now let me grab my die cutting machine and my plates. All right. Sorry about the noise. I've been finding myself needing to use a metal plate once in a while. So I've just put it in for safe measure. I shouldn't really need it with this, but the paper's a little thicker, so it helps. All right. Perfect. All right, so let's just, all right, this is gonna pop right out. Just like that. I'm gonna check up on comments in a second, I promise. Oop. All right. I should make this. I feel like I saw. Yep, there's a little bit I can see of ink because my ink is still a little wet. That's okay. But I don't want it to transfer onto my next die. All right, so what I can do now is start to build this element of my scene. And I'm gonna use some Artiste craft glue just to start building everything together. And I said I'd check comments. So, oh, you guys are so, so sweet. I am doing, we'll say fine today. I don't know why, but my crafting space today just feels humid. And I've been running a fan, but I don't run a fan when I do my lives because it creates background noise. And I don't think that's fair to y'all. So it's just a little warm in here, but I am going. You know what? I made a card today. And after everything was done, I spent like an hour and 15 minutes on it. I didn't like how it turned out and I started from square one. I never really love when that happens, but it does happen. All right. But the new one looks very nice, so I will take that. All right, so we're lining everything up. And then I'm just gonna keep on with my layers. And I thought it would be kind of cool to have like a white grass because then it looks more snowy. I thought about just doing like a snowy hillside, but I wanted grass. Let's do one more. I'm making sure to get little bits and bobs of glue on these little blades of grass so they stick down nicely. All right, we are getting there. Perfect. All right, so we are making progress. But of course it's snowing out, so we need to make a little bit of snow. So let me go ahead. I am going to take my splatter box, which is an old Kindred stamps box. And let me move that over to the side just a little bit. Let me show you what I'm gonna grab. I'm gonna grab some Delusions white linen ink spray. And I'm going to spray it if it's gonna spray. Come on. Why are you not spraying? This should spray easier. Hold on. Well, that's no good. Why my bottle not spraying? Well, that's okay. We will just do this. I was going to spray it off to the side and then flick with like a brush, but that's not working. So we're just gonna do it like this. It gets the job done. And I just gotta let it sit aside so it'll dry. And that's the reason why we're doing this first, is I wanted this background to dry nicely. And I will do some investigation as to why my bottle isn't spraying later. All right, so I will set that aside and we can get into some other elements. All right, hello, Heather, and happy birthday. It is Heather's birthday today, so if you guys haven't, make sure to wish Heather a very happy birthday. Of course, she is our fantastic creative team member and design team leader, so we appreciate her very much. All right, so let's get into some coloring. And I'm sitting down because I was doing the rest of it standing because it works for like my ink blending, but for coloring, not so much. So, all right, so I'm pulling in my Copic markers. I've got our little snowman ready to go, and let's color him up. I'm gonna start with some C4. I'm gonna do it on the left side of his face. Just kind of under his scarf area. I can hear the ice in my fridge popping out. Not like on the ground, but just like into its tray. And I'm like, what the heck? All right. So we'll do like that. Just kind of laying down wherever there would be a shadow. Let's do a little over here, a little under his pipe. I have to figure out how I'm going to color up those little smoke tufts. I'll figure it out though. All right, next we'll do some C2. Just kind of keep bringing that out. I have really made a lot more Christmas projects this July than I'm used to for Christmas in July. Like, I don't know. You know what? Like, it's always interesting to me that, like, no matter how the calendar year works, it always seems like all the good Christmas crafty products, there's always like a little bit of a push in them of July with some companies. But not Halloween. Halloween products typically don't come until after July. Halloween is my jam. You never know. Kindred Stamps might be having some fun new Halloween products coming your way, but shh. All right. Next, let's do some C0. And with me coloring this guy up, I am really taking advantage of the fact that my paper is white. And that's where he's going to get most of his snowiness is going to be actually, it's just going to be the color of the paper. But I'm adding some shadow in because that at least gives him some depth and makes him look a little bit more real. I guess will be the word I use. Not so 2D, you know? Got to give that 3D-ness to him. So I guess that's what I mean by real. Around his scarf, and then do some C0, 0. All right. blend in that. I don't know why this feels like it looks a little red, but I think it's fine. Honestly, this marker might be in need of a new nib sometime soon, but we will survive. I'm not concerned. I also I wasn't fully set on how I was going to color this guy up, because I have a tendency when I color things that are snowy, I don't typically color them just like white snow. I like to go like blue-green icy snow. Why? I don't know. I guess it's because I'm always kind of drawn to like a color rather than just a gray of sorts. But I was like, you know what? We will just color him up this way. It'll work. So, and he's already looking pretty cute. All right, I'm gonna bring in my colorless blender. Can I get some nice blends? All right, perfect. Doesn't look like that much, but it is. All right, let's color his hat. So we're gonna go in. The band on his hat is like a really dark gray. So I'm gonna go in with some T9. And then he is gonna have the hat be a little lighter. So I'm going with some T7. You know what? Maybe I want this side of his hat to be a little darker. Carry it out a little bit more. And then I'll just do a little bit on this edge. I'll have to fix that a little bit right there, but we'll worry about that later. All right, bring that out. And then, we are getting there with his hat. Do some T5. I'm hoping he doesn't take me too long to color up either, as opposed to a character that you gotta do all the skin and the hair. He's just snow and clothes. So let's hope maybe he's a quick one. Not that I'm in a rush, but it's always nice to accomplish something in a shorter amount of time and still love how it turned out. You know? And it's always nice to have characters in your back pocket that like, okay, I don't have all the time in the world, but what I do have is enough time to color up a quick project. And I would maybe consider this guy in the realm of a quick project. Now I am gonna color up his hat twice, unlike his skin, snow, because I wanted to keep that as light as possible. But the hat, I don't want super light. All right, let's go with some T1, check the comments. Heather says, I love your coloring video, thanks so much. Oh, you are so welcome. Heather is talking about, I did a color along video for the Wizard's Apprentice stamp set. So if you guys bought that set with the new release, or I think it's up for pre-order right now. I think the initial run sold out. So if you didn't snag it, you can always pre-order it. But I did do a color along of that, just so if you guys needed any tips or tricks with coloring, you've got that for reference. And Christian says, I finally broke down, got some alcohol markers, been playing with them all day. I finally understand the double coloring. Christian, that makes me happy. That makes me happy. I know it makes a difference. And you know what? It's not everybody's cup of tea. And I know that there are other ways that you can lay down a layer of ink and move along that way, but the double coloring for me has always, I don't need this over here, I forgot the T9 is just the band. Oh well, I'm just talking. The double coloring has really worked well for me. I really think the important thing with coloring with alcohol markers is to understand that you're not going to be able to use them the same way as you would just a standard marker if you want to get those blends. You're not going to get those blends unless it's going to be like a saturated coloring surface already. Just like that. Going with some T5. I went to the movies last night to see a new movie. Of course, I don't want to go into details. But what I will tell you guys, so me and my husband belong to a unlimited club with the movie theater near us where there's like, if we go to one of the movie theaters in this brand, we pay a monthly fee and then we don't have to pay for our tickets. It's included and it's a great plan. If you're going to go to the movies at least twice a month, you end up usually saving money. So anyways, we have this theater by us and we've been going 4 years. We love it. It's got the reclining seats. You make seat reservations so you don't have to worry about getting there early so you have a good seat for the show. And we got a notice that they're closing. So there was one other theater within this brand near us. They're like, oh, well, you can go to this theater to see movies. I'm like, well, okay, well, I want to see this one movie, so let's go. So we went last night to this other theater. Oh my goodness, it was like amateur hour. I don't know what you want to call it. There were so many people just like talking during the movie, laughing at points that were not very funny. And I'm just like, y'all, I don't think I'm going to be going back to this theater. So I think it's time to cancel this membership. So that's what we did. And that's just a little story. That has nothing to do with this project at all, but it just popped into my head. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to share. I'm going to share what happened last night. And maybe it'll help someone in the future. Or maybe you just want to listen. But I did like the movie we went to go see. All right. Perfect. That hat is coloring up nicely. Let's go ahead and color that little flower on it. The center of the flower is blue. And we're just going to color this part once because you don't got to worry about too much detail on the little pieces. And then this little part is lighter blue. And then the petals are pink. So let's go in with some RV06. And some RV02. I can grab a lighter RV. That's not good. Let's see what I got. Let's grab an RV00. That'll work. I don't use my RVs a lot. They're a little bright for me. I probably could have done a lighter marker, but that's fine. I don't know, it's just like too like neon pink. Not that there's a problem with neon pink, but you don't need to color a lot of things neon pink. So anyways, we got our little flower all situated. Let's color his nose. He's got a red nose. Go with some R39, some R29. Some R24. And phooey. I already got a little bit outside the line. I'll fix it, don't worry. And R22. All right, we'll go back and fix it. We'll do our second round of coloring with R29, or 39, sorry, R29. R24 and R22. All right, and let me grab my colorless blender because I think I might just be able to push this back in. Just kind of, it's such a little bit. Red is not the color to make mistakes with too, let me tell you. It's not very forgiving. But I'll figure it out. If I need to touch it up with a gel pen, it's already on white. It shouldn't be a problem. All right. Actually, I probably could just do that right now. So let's just go in. Perfect. Just a little touch up. All right, next, let's go in with some RV34. When says we go on Tuesdays, our theater has $5 tickets and free popcorn. Was it a recent stamp release? It was not, Gwen, but I can tell you that it doesn't necessarily need to be recent. But we can't go into it. We can't. Of course, none of them would be recent, but it was a good movie. I did enjoy it. That was RV32. And let's do with some RV10. RV34. RV32. RV10. We're getting there. And let's do his tongue, which is going to be some RV14. I also didn't know what color to color the inside of his mouth. I'm like, oh, it should just be dark gray. I'm like, but he's going to have a pink tongue, so that's going to look a little strange. So I just decided to do it like I do my humans with the pinks. RV13, and then we'll do RV11. Go back and repeat. RV14, RV13, and RV11. Perfect. All right. Let's see. I think I need to do a little bit more touch up with this nose piece. All right. Perfect. Let's go and let's start coloring up the broom and his pipe. This is E59. And then we'll do some E57. E55. And E53. Go ahead and repeat. Let's do E5-9. All right. We'll do E5-7. E5-5. And E5-3. All right, let me grab just a little bit of warm gray for that smoke. Let's do some W2 and some W0. All right, perfect. And let's do his scarf. I am not using what I would call traditional colors. Let's see. Do it that way. Trying to go real gently. All right, do some B4. And then do some B21. Let's color this up again. Do some B26. All right, and B24. We're making progress. I love a little bit of crafting progress. All right, and let's finish with some B21. And then I'm gonna make the rest of the scarf like a lighter blue, but it looks good white, honestly. So light colors, I'm gonna say, are definitely gonna be the way to go. All right. Oh my gosh, that's so many markers. All right. Do some B02. And some B00. And some B000. All right, let's repeat these colors. I'm sorry about that. My nose is just a little stuffy. And some B02. And some B00. One second while I grab a tissue. Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that. And we'll finish off with some B000. And after the scarf, we'll check comments real quick. All right, how are we doing? Gwen's got lots of coloring ideas. Well, I'm glad to hear that. All right, let's go in. I've got E47. Just kind of treating this like hair. And do some E44. E42. And some Y00, kind of treating this like blonde hair. All right, let's do some E42. E44. And E47. All right, let me put my markers away. We can clean him up and then also cut him out. So many more markers than I thought for a little snowman. All right, I think I've got a little bit of him to clean up with his, whatchamacallit, broomstick. There's a little bit by his hat. And that's that. All right, so we're gonna let him just dry for a second, make sure I'm not missing anything. All right, I think we're good. If anyone's got any questions, just let me know. We are making progress. Let's go ahead and fussy cut him out. I think I might go in after I cut him out and cut cut out that part close to his right side of his face. Also just trim off the edges as I'm fussy cutting. Or rather excess paper I won't need. Little piece out. Just kind of carefully cutting this nicely. Trim this a little bit more, but I'm having difficulty getting in there with my scissors. That'll do it. All right. Perfect. Let's see. So I've got my background. I think it's, let's see. I think we're just about dry. Okay, so we're doing good. He can be propped on there pretty easily. All right, so we can get into like the final construction stages of our card. So I wanted to show you guys another tip. Let's see, make sure I'm not missing anything. Teresa says, I noticed you switched to a blender brush when you switched from the oxides to the regular distress inks. Does the foam work better for the oxides and the brushes work better for regular distress? Or is that because you didn't want to mix? That's a great question, Teresa. So don't ever mix your ink blender tools for your distress and your oxides. You will end up contaminating your ink pads and it could cause problems for your ink blending. So that's definitely one. Being honest, from my experience, I don't like using brushes when I blend with my distress oxides. I used to do it for a very long time, but it used to get, and I'm going to be honest too, there is nothing more satisfying than taking a brand new blending brush and using it with distress oxide inks because it's beautiful, it's smooth, it's crisp, it's wonderful. But for me, I feel like because those oxide inks build and they're like a pigment inks, they're not just, you can't just easily wash them away with water. I feel like they kind of gunk up your brushes after a little bit of time. And even as much as I would like wash them and whatnot, I never feel like they return to normal, but using those little foam tools, I never have to worry about that. And my application of the Distress Oxide inks is fantastic with it. So I recommend the foam blending tools. I feel like it's cheaper. I mean, I know I have a blending tool for every color of oxide, and that itself is not cheaper, but the brushes themselves as an individual unit get very expensive, and so I felt like the foam blending tools just work better for me for oxides, and then I like to use my brushes, or even the foam blenders work nice with the distress inks. It just kind of depends on the mood I'm in. Jessica says, I was just sent someone else's order. I emailed Audra. Wonder who got mine. Oh my goodness. I'm sure Audra will get it all corrected for you, but good call to call her or to email her first. All right, so what I'm going to go ahead and do is I want to use this paper from the Merry and Bright paper pack. And I'm going to use an A2 nesting die because, oops, sorry about that. Just a set of A2 nesting dies from my stash. This is one of my tips when it comes to using pattern paper. Is another finishing touch is to make sure that, like, when you're cutting out your design, that it's even. Like, I don't want it to be that I've got one style of snowflake over here and then over here it's a different style. It just doesn't look even to me. So what I like to do is make sure that, like, all angles of my paper look even. Like this is, that's pretty good. All right, so we're gonna do right here. Tack it down with a piece of mint tape, but I want to grab another piece of mint tape. Mint tape, where'd you go? All right, make sure it's all nice and lined up. All right, line it up, and then we'll die cut it in my die cutting machine. Go ahead and cut this out. All right, this should be the last thing I have to die cut today. So that's nice. See how it's like even all around for the most part? I just like how that looks. It's one of those things that I feel like looks very nice on a card is when the pattern is nice and even, and that's just crafting with Justin, let me tell you. All right, so we're gonna lay this on like this. All right, so let's go ahead, let's do some adhesive. I know I still have to do a sentiment. We'll get to that in a second. But I can do this first. All right. Also, too, by using die cuts, I make sure all of my lines are nice and even, too, as opposed to any potential wonky cuts. I think we're good. All right. He is, oh, he's so cute. All right, I love that. All right, so we're getting there. Let's do some heat embossing. I've got my Misty. And I want to use the sentiment. I think I want to do Warm Wishes and Frosty Kisses. So we're going to use that one. So I'm going to just go ahead and pick it up. I've got an embossing tool. Oh, and thank you guys. So thank you, Patsy. Christian says, even with the die, I can go wonky. Christian, I'm the same way. And it's like, when that happens, it's like, well, now what do I do? So, all right. I always like to press it down first. And then let's grab, where is my Kindred Stamps embossing ink pad? I tell you, these embossing ink pads last forever. This is my very first one that Audra sent out when we got our first embossing powders in the shop. Not like I think we had embossing powders in our boxes or kits before in the shop. So I'm talking about when we actually got the embossing powders that you could buy individually. That's when we started stocking these, and that's when I got that, and it still is perfect. Let's do some snowfall embossing powder. All right. Perfect. All right, let's heat emboss and set this off to the side. And we are getting there. I feel like scrap paper is the best heat embossing paper because you never need a big piece of paper to heat emboss typically, unless you're embossing like a whole background or something. So I always just grab my little scraps so I can use them for heat embossing. All right. Just kind of wipe off that powder. And then I'm also going to fussy cut my sentiment. Just kind of cut the excess off. All right, and then I just kind of like to go around the letters. And this just makes it kind of integrate with your card very nicely. But because it's white powder on dark paper, it's really going to pop nicely. Especially because I'll use it with some foam tape. And sometimes I think some sentiments don't look that great on a sentiment strip. Like this one, it's got 3 different levels to it. You would need a really big sentiment strip. So I just think this one will be really nice fussy cut out. Just like that. And let me see. So just had a little bit of a smudge. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put his sentiment right up there. I'm gonna grab some foam tape and put that on the sentiment. We'll do some foam tape on the back of him. One nice big piece is great. Piece over there. Piece right there. And this is 1/16 of an inch foam tape. So it's not super thick, but I like using this one. Just gives a nice little lift. Let's see, let's put a little piece there. Awesome. All right, where do we want him? I think he's gonna look cute, like right there. Removing the backing. The backing of foam tape is like my inner saboteur. All right, let's do right there. And then it's like make it as level as I can. All right. And then I have a card base that I can pop him on. Let's get all this off first, though. So let's go ahead, get him on the card base. And then I want to do some enamel dots. I've kind of used this layout with a handful of cards, even with Facebook Lives. I know that I used the Wild and Free stamp set a couple months ago, and I made like a card just like this with the female archer in that set, just like a foresty, wintry sort of scene. But it's just such a good go-to, and I love these dies. My card base looks to be just a little on the bigger side, so I'm just trimming it off carefully. And then, of course, we'll finish up. I've got some clear glitter enamel dots. I think that'll be really cute with it. Just gonna grab some of those. All right, so let's just do like, because I like that it's like additional snowfall kind of. Yeah. I'll do. Perfect. And maybe not so perfect. Just kind of fidget with them a little bit. All right. Oh, I changed my mind again. I want there to be one for him. Oh, we lost him. All right. So there we go. Isn't this cute? Didn't he turn? It's perfect for Christmas in July. I love it. I love it. I love it. Oh, Patsy, you're so sweet. You're also sweet. Christian and Gwen. Teresa says, where do you get the 1/16 inch? It's ThermoWeb foam tape. This, oh my God, it's so small. I have like one coil left. I have another one in my stash. If ThermoWeb's got 1/16, they've got it in white and black. So I hope that helps Teresa. So thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you. Well, I got to thank everybody. So I said thank you, Gwen. Thank you, Christian. Thank you, Carrie and Teresa and Kristen and Patsy. Thank you guys so much for being here today. So just let's recap everything that we used to make this project, because I think it turned out super cute. We used our Snow Much Fun stamp set, which is where we got our image and our sentiment from. And then we built a background using the grass craft scene die and the tree craft scene die. I might be using those words out of order, but you get the gist. We also use the Christmas sweater stencil for a little extra detail with our sky, which of course then we splattered with some Delusions white linen ink spray that wasn't spraying, so I have to figure that out. And then we also use some card basic dies just to help format everything for all of our die cuts. We use the Merry and Bright paper pack for a little bit of a frame on the outside. And of course we used a heat embossed sentiment with the snowfall embossing powder. So I think this turned out really cute. It's definitely got some fun ink blended layers to it. And what a great way to close out Christmas and July crafting. So thank you all so very much for stopping by today. Of course, I will get this uploaded to my YouTube channel for the replay. I will post a blog as well for your reference for all the products that I used today. Expect that probably no later than tomorrow. And then I'll be back next month for, you got me for 2 more lives, of course. 2 lives every month with Justin. We'll do one for our August challenge. That'll be the first one that we do. And then we'll just do something fun later on in the month. So if you guys ever have ideas, always let me know. I'm always on the lookout for those ideas. But thank y'all so much for being here tonight. Today. Oh my gosh, this day has just felt long already, and I'm already calling it the evening. But thank you all once again for being here, and I will check you out on the next live. Have a great one, guys. Goodbye.